All right, let's clear something up. The Philippines is not just one giant island where people ride caribous to work and don't speak English. And no, Filipino women aren't all quiet and obedient waiting for a foreign prince to rescue them. Today, we're busting some of the biggest, dumbest, and most outrageous lies about the Philippines that people still believe. Some will shock you, some will make you laugh, and some might just make you mad. Some people think Filipinas are just shy, quiet, and submissive, that they just sit there, smile, and say yes to everything. But if you've ever met a Filipina, you know that's one of the biggest lies ever told. Take Mark, an American expat who moved to the Philippines expecting to meet a traditional woman who would never question him. He started dating Anne, a Filipina nurse, sweet, caring, always respectful. But one day he jokingly said, "Filipinas must love serving their husbands." Anne put down her coffee and looked him dead in the eye. Excuse me? That was the moment Mark realized Filipinos are not weak, they're not just submissive, and they will put you in your place if needed. Yes, Filipino culture teaches respect, modesty, and family values, but that doesn't mean Filipinas don't speak their minds. Many are bold, independent, and hardworking. Some are CEOs, some are politicians, some are single moms raising families on their own. And let's not forget, the Philippines is one of the only Asian countries where women have been president. So the next time someone says Filipinos are just obedient wives, remind them. Jose Rizal's mother fought Spanish soldiers. Gabriela Silang led a revolution. And your Filipino girlfriend, she'll fight you for the last piece of crispy lechon. Smash that like button if you know a Filipina who's a total powerhouse. Let's play a little game. Close your eyes and picture the Philippines. What do you see? A single massive island like a chunk of land floating in the Pacific. If that's the case, you've been fed a massive lie. The Philippines isn't just one island, it's a mind-blowing archipelago of 7,641 islands. That's right, and here's the kicker. Over 5,000 of them are completely uninhabited. Imagine thousands of untouched beaches, secret coves, and jungle-covered islands waiting to be explored. Even crazier, scientists aren't even 100% sure of the actual number. Back in 2016, new islands were discovered, and who knows, there could be more hiding beneath the waves. The country is split into three major island groups. Luzon, the land of Manila, historic sites, and breathtaking rice terraces. Visayas, a paradise of white sand beaches, colorful festivals, and rich history. Mindanao, the wild, green, and diverse region, home to towering mountains and deep-rooted traditions. Each region is like a country of its own, with unique languages, cultures, and traditions. So saying the Philippines is just one place is like saying Europe is just one country. If you're still not subscribed, now's the perfect time. Hit that button and join us as we uncover more eye-opening truths. And if you'd love to visit one of these hidden islands, smash that like button right now. Excuse me, do you speak English? A question so many Filipinos have heard from clueless tourists who assume they've just landed in the middle of nowhere. And every time, the answer is the same. Of course we do. But let's get one thing straight. This isn't just a myth, it's an insult. Because not only do Filipinos speak English, they speak it better than most people think. In fact, some Filipinos are so fluent that they could convince you they grew up in California. Let's break it down. Over 92% of Filipinos can speak and understand English. That's nearly 100 million people. And here's where it gets even crazier. The Philippines is actually the third largest English-speaking country in the world when it comes to population, right behind the US and India. So where does this ridiculous myth come from? Well, some Filipinos have a thick accent and others might feel a little self-conscious about their grammar. But let's be real. Have you heard some Americans speak English? If irregardless can make it into the dictionary, we're not judging accents here. And if you still don't believe Filipinos are masters of English, just call customer service. Chances are the friendly voice on the other end, a Filipino. The Philippines is the BPO capital of the world, handling millions of customer service calls every day. So the idea that Filipinos don't speak English, pure fiction. The truth? They're among the best English speakers in Asia, and possibly the funniest too. Imagine this, you land in Cebu, confidently greet the locals with a cheerful "Magandang era," only to be met with blank stares. Awkward. Here's the thing, not all Filipinos speak Tagalog. In fact, the Philippines is home to over 170 languages and dialects, and no, they're not just slight variations of Tagalog. Some are so different that a person from Luzon might struggle to understand someone from Mindanao. But where does this myth come from? Well, Tagalog was chosen as the basis for the national language, Filipino, in 1937. Over time, Filipino became the dominant language in media, government, and schools. But let's get one thing straight. It's not the only language spoken. Just take Cebuano, spoken by over 20 million people. It's so widely used that in some parts of the country, Tagalog sounds foreign. Then you have Ilocolano, Waray, Hiligaynon, Kapampangan, Bicolano, and so many more. It's like the Philippines is its own miniature Tower of Babel. Except instead of confusion, you get a rich, diverse culture. And here's a fun fact. The country's multilingualism makes Filipinos some of the best code swingers in the world. A single sentence can effortlessly weave in Tagalog, English, and a local dialect. So next time someone says, oh, Filipinos only speak Tagalog, hit them with the truth. The Philippines is one of the most linguistically diverse countries on earth. And if you ever find yourself in a conversation with a Filipino, don't be surprised if they switch languages mid-sentence. It's basically a national sport. You ever meet someone who hears you're Filipino and immediately asks, so, which call center do you work for? Or better yet, do you take care of kids? Oh, I'm sorry. I must have missed the meeting where the Philippines signed a contract to only produce customer service reps and nannies. Now, don't get me wrong, Filipinos own these jobs. Ever spoken to customer support and actually felt listened to? Probably a Filipino. And if you grew up with a Filipina nanny, chances are she raised you better than your own parents did. But here's where this myth falls apart. Filipinos are everywhere. Doctors, they're running hospitals. Engineers, they're building bridges, skyscrapers, and probably the Wi-Fi you're using right now. Scientists? NASA literally named an asteroid after a Filipino scientist. Yes, an actual space rock called Bio. CEOs? Ever heard of MySpace? Yeah, co-founded by a Filipino. Filipinos don't just take jobs, they run entire industries. And let's not forget the OFWs. Millions of Filipinos working in healthcare, tech, finance, and beyond. Companies fight to hire them because they're hardworking, skilled, and unstoppable. So the next time someone tries to put Filipinos in a tiny little career box, remind them, Filipinos don't just work the system, they build it. And if that same person ever needs tech support, maybe let them hold for a while. Ah yes, the classic Filipinos are all the same myth because, a country made up of over 7,000 islands must have exactly one way of life, right? Let me put it this way. Would you say every American is exactly the same? That a cowboy from Texas, a Wall Street banker, and a surfer from California all have the same lifestyle? Of course not. So why would the Philippines be any different? Now, if you've ever been to the Philippines, you know this country is a mashup of cultures. Step into Luzon and you'll hear Tagalog and see influences from Spanish rule. Hop over to the Visayas and suddenly Cebuano is the dominant language and the traditions completely different. Travel down to Mindanao and you'll find indigenous tribes with customs that predate colonization by centuries. Even food changes depending on where you are. In Ilocos, they'll serve you crispy bagnet. In Pampanga, sweet, saucy sisig. Down south, they might just hand you a plate of spicy Maranao-style beef rendang. And let's not forget festivals. One day, you're in Aklan dancing through a sea of paint and feathers at Ati-Atian, and the next you're in Cebu watching Sunulog's massive parades. The Philippines isn't one culture, it's hundreds of cultures blended into a single, chaotic, beautiful nation. So next time someone says all Filipinos are the same, just smile and say, which one? The Ilocanos, the Kapampangans, the Tauskugs, the Bicolanos, the Cebuanos? Take your pick. And if you're loving this deep dive into the Philippines, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of the list. Trust me, the next myths are even crazier. All right, let's settle this once and for all. Do Filipinos love rice? Yes. Do they eat rice with everything? Also yes. But do they eat only rice? Come on now. Imagine this. A tourist lands in Manila, walks into a local restaurant, sees people happily eating rice, and suddenly whispers, oh no, it's true. That's all they eat. Meanwhile, the table next to him has a feast of grilled seafood, sizzling pork, fresh tropical fruits, and a soup so rich it could pay your rent. Filipino cuisine is a wild ride of flavors. Ever had adobo? It's meat marinated to perfection in soy sauce, vinegar, and garlic. Or sinigang, a tamarind-based soup so sour it'll make your face do gymnastics. And let's not forget lechon, a whole roasted pig so crispy that even vegetarians consider taking a bite. But yeah, rice is a big deal. It's like that one friend who always shows up, sometimes uninvited, but always welcome. Filipinos will pair rice with everything, even things that logically shouldn't go together. Ever heard of rice with spaghetti? It's real. Rice with soup? A must. Rice with more rice? Don't question it. But the idea that Filipinos only eat rice? That's like saying Americans only eat burgers. So next time you hear someone say it, just ask, have you ever tried a Filipino buffet? Good luck walking out of there without needing a nap. And if you're enjoying these myth-busting moments, smash that like button. More surprises coming up next. All right, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the dog. Somewhere out there, a guy hears Filipino food and immediately thinks, oh no, they eat dogs. Bro, relax, your golden retriever is safe. Let's be real. This rumor has been blown way out of proportion. The vast majority of Filipinos love dogs. As pets, not as dinner. You walk through any Filipino neighborhood and you'll see dogs everywhere. Playing in the streets, guarding homes, or being spoiled like royalty. Try taking a Filipino's dog away and you'll have a full-blown telenovela on your hands. Now, let's be honest. Yes, there are some regions in the Philippines where eating dog meat used to be a cultural thing. A long time ago, some indigenous communities considered it a special dish for rituals or extreme situations, but today, it's illegal. In 1998, the Philippine government officially banned the practice, making it punishable by fines and even jail time. But let's flip the script for a second. If eating dog meat shocks you, what about countries that eat frog legs, raw octopus, or snails? Ever seen what the French do to ducks? Exactly. Every culture has its own food traditions, and what's normal for one might be unthinkable for another. So no, Filipinos aren't running around hosting dog BBQs. They're too busy eating adobo, lechon, and halo-halo. And if you've never tried those, you're the one missing out. By the way, if this busted another myth for you, smash that like button. There's more truth coming your way. You ever see an older foreign guy with a younger Filipina and think, oh, she's just after his money? Let's be honest. Some of y'all have had that thought, but let's break this one down because it's way more complicated than a gold-digging stereotype. First off, let's address the obvious. Yes, some people in the world date for financial security, but guess what? That's not a Filipino thing. That's a universal thing. Ever heard of trophy wives, sugar babies, reality TV stars? Exactly. Now let's take a step back. Why do a lot of Filipinos date foreigners in the first place? Well, for starters, Filipinos are naturally warm, friendly, and hospitable. Foreigners, especially Westerners, often find themselves overwhelmed by how kind and loving Filipinas are. It's not about money, it's about connection. But here's the kicker. Many Filipinos actually prefer dating Filipino men. Don't believe it? Just walk into any university, mall, or park in the Philippines. You'll see plenty of happy, all Filipino couples holding hands, taking selfies, and sharing snacks. Not every Filipino is on a mission to date a foreigner. Now let's get real. Yes, some relationships are transactional. That's a fact everywhere. But assuming every Filipina in an interracial relationship is a gold digger, that's like assuming every rich guy's wife is just there for the credit cards. So next time you see a happy foreigner Filipina couple, maybe, just maybe, it's real love. And if you're still skeptical, book a flight to the Philippines and find out for yourself. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button and let's bust more myths together. Don't go to the Philippines. It's dangerous. Ever heard that one? Some people talk about the country like it's a real-life action movie. Like the moment you land, you're dodging kidnappers, running from gangsters, and eating expired street food. But let's take a reality check. Is there crime in the Philippines? Sure. But let me ask you, is there crime in your city? Exactly. Now here's the part no one tells you. The Philippines isn't just safe, it's one of the most welcoming places on earth. I mean, where else can you walk down the street and have complete strangers invite you to their house for dinner? Filipinos treat guests like VIPs. If danger is a warm plate of adobo and a karaoke session, then sign me up. Let's talk numbers. According to actual crime data, not your paranoid uncle's Facebook post, the Philippines has a lower crime rate than some major Western cities. Ever walked around downtown Los Angeles at night? Now that's an adventure. And here's what blows people's minds. There are over 7,000 islands in the Philippines, and most of them are so peaceful and untouched that you could spend 19 years exploring them and never feel unsafe. But sure, keep believing that everywhere is a crime zone. Of course, like any country, there are places to avoid, but if you stick to tourist areas, respect local customs, and don't do anything dumb like flashing wads of cash in an alley at 2 a.m., you'll be just fine. So next time someone says the Philippines is dangerous, ask them if they've actually been there or if they're just scared of a country they saw in a clickbait headline.